Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Hearthstone deck spotlight. My name is Tommy Wave, and today we'll be taking a look at Elementalcore100's Aggro Warrior, Budget Aggro Warrior. We've been enjoying doing our very own budget deck series, slowly but surely. But I thought I'd take a look at this amazing deck from Elementalcore, who's definitely come up with some of the more interesting decks that we've played in the past. And I love playing Aggro Warrior, so this is right up my alley. We'll start by going through some of the card selection. Obviously, this is an Aggro Warrior deck, so we're going to be trying to hit our opponent in the face pretty hard, kill them pretty quick, and it's a budget deck, so bear in mind we don't have all the options that we maybe would want, and that kind of shows up pretty early on, where in the 1-drop slot we've just got Eternium Rovers and Omega Assemblies, whereas I think most situations where you're playing an Aggro Warrior or a mid-range Warrior, people will include a Town Crier package. So, you know, Town Criers with a couple of rush minions, maybe even cards like Zilliax or Crowley, just to make sure that you've got a 1-drop, but also that you can curve out. One of the key things of aggressive warrior decks is you need to be curving out. So that's one thing that, you know, being a budget deck means that we can't do. Don't have access to Town Crier. So just the Eternium Rovers, Mega Assembly, that's more of, I think, a late game card, but also a little bit of an option select. You know, if we can, you know, play it in the mid game to just get another threat on the board, that's pretty important. Moving on to the 2-drops, we've got Battle Rage, we've got Execute, Rampage, Slam, and Woodcutter's Axe. And the only minion in this 2-drop slot is Red Band Wasp, and that I think is maybe a bit of a maybe something that we've got to keep an eye on when we do play this deck, as all of these cards like Execute, Slam, and Woodcutter's Axe are all reactive cards. Rampage and Battle Rage require us to have like a certain condition on the board, and particularly if we want to be curving out, oftentimes these could be bricks in our hand. These could be dead cards, which is really going to affect our mulligan. We have to make sure that we hit this Rover and hit this Red Band Wasp, or this Woodcutter's Axe. I think that is also a fine 2-drop, but we've got to make sure we hit those so we can get into our mid game while still having board control. I think if I was to, you know, make an immediate change to this deck, I'd kind of cut this Rampage for maybe a what is his name? Cruel Taskmaster. I think this is a really cool, interesting budget card. We could also be playing cards like Armani Berserker, which goes quite well with the you know, the Blood Razor, the damage me type effects, and maybe even another 1-drop in here like a Firefly or a Diamol or something like that. But we'll keep an eye on that. I hope that we're wrong, because that's always the most fun part when we're wrong. We go to the 3-drop slot. We've got you know, Aggro Warrior, Mid-Range Warrior Mainstay, Frothing Berserker, one of our best 3-drops, one of the best 3-drops. And we've got Rabid Worgen here. Rabid Worgen, obviously a little bit weaker without the Town Crier to go find it. On its own, it's a bit of a low-impact card, but we do have the Woodcutter's Axe to support it as well, so I think the Rabid Worgen is totally fine here. But maybe we could find some room for like a Vicious Fledgling or something like that. Just another powerful must-answer 3-drop. Moving on to the 4-drops, Blood Razor, Corcoran Elite, Militia Commander. No problems here. I think these are all fantastic. Militia Commander is really going to help us keep control of the board with a big trade, and Corcoran Elite is a fantastic card against a lot of those control decks. We can play it proactively, get some damage in, maybe even get a couple more hits in. At the 5-drop slot, we've got Festeroot Hulk. This is a card I talked about when we looked at our budget card highlights for Witchwood. I kind of mentioned that this might be the card that gives Warrior the critical mass of must-answer threats to make it a viable aggressive or mid-range deck. And not too many people have been playing with it, but so I'm really excited to check this one out. It's also very Halloween themed, which is, I guess, important for you lore heads. But Festeroot Hulk, really exciting, big toughness, so very hard for some decks to remove. And if we do manage to play it on, you know, with a board in play, we might be able to buff it up to a huge attack. And the last card here is Unidentified Shield. This is the card that I kind of am I'm the most concerned about. I think that there are a couple of modes on this that are really, really, like, we're not going to gain anything out of them, such as the gain 15 armor mode. You know, I think if we ever draw this card and it turns into the 15 armor, it's just straight up a dead card. Very rarely, I think, will we find ourselves in a racing position. We're either ahead and we need to kill our opponent, or our opponent turns the corner and we're dead. No matter if we're on 1 health or 100, we just can't get the job done. So I think this, you know, if we want the damage mode, or we want the weapon mode, or we want the minion mode, we can just play Arcanite Reaper, or we can play, I don't know, a vanilla 5-drop minion. We could be playing cards like Cobalt Scalebane, we could be playing cards like Bittertide Hydra, or if we wanted a more budget option, then yeah, Cobalt Scalebane, Fungalmancer. There are plenty of budget options for us. I'm unsure if Unidentified Shield is the best card for the job. Anyway, hopefully we're wrong about everything. Hopefully we're going to learn a bunch about what Aggro Warrior is all about. So let's get into some games.
Your soul shall be mine.
Okay, we're here up against the Warlock. Definitely want to keep our 2-drop, as we don't have too many of those. I think... do we keep the Frothing Berserker? I think we will. You know, we're not incredibly likely to hit our Eternium Rover, but... oof. Better lucky than good. Better lucky than good. So we want our opponent to play a Kobold Librarian and not a Flame Imp. Hey. Hey, friend. Yazzle, you did it. You're doing it. Another Kobold Librarian. Still can't tell what deck this is. But we could get Coin Hellfired next turn, so I think we'll go for the Frothing Berserker. Straight here. So if our opponent has Hellfire, it doesn't kill the Frothing. It also buffs the Frothing. If they have Defile, it just kills these things and once again buffs the Berserker. Unfortunately, having armor on ourselves is bad. Like, we'd rather have taken damage than gained armor. So fire. So is Zoo. But we're ahead of them, which is uncommon.
Someone call for
it. No Happy Ghoul. No Happy Ghoul. So I think we'll just go for the Worgen here. Try and leave as much as possible, so we can follow up with these 2 Festering Hulks. We've curved out really well this game, and hopefully we can get the job done with the Hulks. These are big toughness guys, so it is hard for a Warlock to remove them, unless they have their own big toughness boys. Tap into nothing? Wow. Our opponent has not had a great draw here. And this Hulk threatens to take control of the game. I'm looking forward to the video where you dub/Foley everything. How do I kill that? I guess we can just slam execute. Or do we want to just play our other Hulk? No, we'll slam and see what happens. Oh no. Okay. Woof. switch his spirit and record your own sounds. Oh yeah, that's the ASMR Hearthstone. Yeah, we wanted to do ASMR Hearthstone. You win this time. You win this time. Yeah. It was ASMR. Okay. So against Paladin, the Woodcutter's Axe might not actually be the worst keep. It's highly likely Paladin's going to be pretty active in the first couple of turns. So I think we can keep the Woodcutter's Axe. Okay. Red Bend Wasp, Woodcutter's Axe. This is not a bad start. I just think that I think unfortunately the way that this matchup pans out in my head every single time is our opponent's going to try and get on the board. We're going to combat them on the board. We're going to trade a lot of resources. Neither of us are going to take a lot of damage. But then our opponent is going to, at some point, resolve a Vine Cleaver, and that card will kill us on its own. Like, it's too much damage. It trades with 3 of our minions. It produces so many minions. But
move quickly.
That's just in my head. That's a good result. No, just hero power. Just hero power, friend. There you go.
Reporting for duty.
Ooh. Ooh. So I'm going to rampage, but I'm going to trade with one of these in case they have War Leader. Now War Leader doesn't trade with this Wasp. An unidentified mole would though. Blessing I might? Sure. No, just hero power.
I'm fast and furious.
I think that's one thing that could also help us win is if our opponent actually lets us trade resources for resources, as opposed to trading. They did have the War Leader as well. Trading resources for hero power.
Defend the gates! To me!
Some spice with that rampage, yeah. Interesting, that was a situation where
Glory to the Sindori.
Rampage was definitely better than Cruel Taskmaster. Do we take 6? Probably not. We should have Omega Assembled, right? Like, we're never getting to turn 10. Bit of a goof there. Should have Omega Assembled first. I think we're just too used to playing Omega Assembly in this control list. Alright. Blood Razor. Off the top. Ooh. Dynamatic. That sound is so obnoxious.
Access denied.
Punt. We're not punting. This is a hard matchup. Bunglemancer? Oh. How dare you accuse me of punting? Oh gosh. It's all happening.
Reporting for duty.
Well, we didn't lose to Vine Cleaver.
Unity, precision, perfection, primitive. No relief.
Job's done.
Didn't lose to Vine Cleaver. Do we lose to the Divine Cleaver?
Speak your peace.
Reporting for duty. Reporting for duty.
For the War Chief! For Hellscream!
Gosh.
No relief.
Are we gonna do it? Are we gonna do this? Or are we gonna lose to Leroy? Or Vine Cleaver? Are we actually gonna get killed by Vine Cleaver? Oh.
I will silence
Riku.
their screams.
Uh-oh. We're two executes down. It's maybe too much for our heroes.
I'm fast and furious!
No relief.
Okay. Out of the range of Vine Cleaver. It's all coming off the top. If we draw this unidentified shield and it's 15 armor, oh my fist is gonna go through this monitor.
The light dims, but we fight.
Takes damage or survives damage?
Reporting for duty.
Mmm.
In your face!
Nice strike.
Now we need to avoid another level up. Because I don't think we can get through the taunts.
Reporting for duty. The victory is yours.
really good.
Or death!
Okay. Once again, I think we'll keep this Woodcutter's Axe, especially against Warlock. It's very likely to have some proactive plays early on. We've been seeing a lot more Zulok than anything else. Yeah, let's get those state wavies going on. Bit of a weaker one here. We definitely would be saved by the bell if an Eternium Rover popped up. Opponent in the tank. I can just pass on this one. See if they've got a Flame Imp for us to get our axe in. Nope. It's okay. I think this kind of unfortunately, Warrior is a bit weak against Control Warlock, Aggro Warrior rather, simply because a lot of the decks focus on being very rush heavy, and rush is just not. Rush usually means it's not a very good proactive threat on an empty board. So while this deck can be, while Aggro and mid-range Warriors can be very good at contesting the board with other minion-based decks, when it comes to control decks, they are one of the more unfortunate decks. What are we going to do here? Let's play a Raw Frothing Berserker.
The blade be thirsty.
See what our opponent does. Next turn we can follow up with like Slam Execute. We can attack, Rabid Worgen, slam, attack, Rabid Worgen, execute, attack, execute, Rabid Worgen. Hellfire. Ooh, unpumped Spellstone.
I'm fast and furious!
So obviously we don't get to take advantage of the rush in that situation, but we've created a pretty reasonable threat. Can follow up with the Hulk, the Commander. We've got some options here. I guess it really just depends on how we navigate this versus the options our opponent has to kill everything that we play. This type of matchup is kind of one where Rampage is really at its worst. Ooh, Faceless Manipulator trade.
Astonishing.
Yeah. Now they have the Siphon Soul here, like one of the hard removal spells. It's gonna be quite good for them, as this is one of the threats that can be quite tough to remove with a Spellstone or something like that.
Your magic shall not save you.
Spellbreaker, okay. That's an interesting one. Might actually try and go for a rampage on this, if it survives. Guess we have to hope our opponent doesn't have Twisting Nether, which I think is pretty reasonable. Oftentimes these Control Warlock decks only do play one Twisting Nether, sometimes none.
Yes. Oh yes. They'll serve me now.
Doomguard. Okay, well, happy to execute that. Yeah, I think we'll just go execute Core Crime. Creeper and Stone. We should have gone for the Stone here first. Because if they had hit something like, say, an Apple Bomb, I think maybe they would have preferred to do that instead of the Tar Creeper. Big Rampage.
Defend the gates! To me!
I'm gonna rampage on this Core Crop so that it doesn't die to Hellfire. Whilst rampaging the Festroot creates a more like resilient threat, I think just reducing our opponent's options is pretty important right now. Making them have to have the Twisting Nether.
How long can this go on? How long can this go on?
All will serve!
Okay, well, this is the turn, hey? Oh, please! Okay. It's close.
To me!
Oh wait, do we actually have the win? 9. Yeah, there we go. Ooh. Exactly. Lucky us. I was trying to figure out if we could find a lethal with the spike shield. Whew, there we go. Jeez, those were a couple of really tight games. Really tight games. We'll take a look at the deck. Honestly, I think the deck performed quite well. We saw, you know, I thought that Rampage would be one of the worst cards against Control Warlock. Turned out to be one of the most important cards in that entire matchup. We got a lot of use out of the executes and the slams. We even had, you know, definitely against that Paladin, we wouldn't have been able to win the game without the Battle Rage, which is really good. A lot of the cards really came together. I think the most suspect cards were still the Unidentified Shield and the Omega Assemblies. I'd like to cut these and cut the Omega Assemblies as well. And let's try and get in some more like some more wonders. We could play Crystallizer. I think I'd play this over Diamol, but obviously it is an epic. But you know, we could play cards like Firefly. This will help us fill the curve a little bit better. You know, on turn 3, if we did want to play a Slam, we could play the Slam and play a Firefly or the Elemental. And the other card that I'd love to get in here is just a little bit of extra reach with an Arcanite Reaper. Nice budget option once again. So that's kind of where the first changes that I'd make. But let me know what you'd change in the comments. Would you change anything? And ultimately, if you never lose, then maybe you shouldn't fix something if it ain't broke. As always, if you are watching this video on YouTube, all the links are down in the description, including a link over to the Hearthstone deck article. Jump over there, give Elemental Core a +1, leave a lovely thoughtful comment, and I know you will. And you can find all my social links down there as well. At TommyWave on Twitter is the best place to catch me, or you can join the brand new TommyWave Discord, join the wave pool. And until next time, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you soon. Stay wavy. Bye. I hope you enjoyed that video. Check out other ones over here, or come subscribe to the wave pool for more excellent times.